Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, Municipal Appeals, Code of Appeals, the Housing Authority, and the Tree Commission. If anyone at all is interested, please fill out an application for appointment, and we'll consider that just as soon as we can. Next, Sanitary Board report.
You all should have my report in your packet. And for the end of the report, there's a notation in there that we have recently hired one of 2 employees that we needed to at the plant. As of this morning, that one employee handed in his resignation, so we need to hire 2 employees for down at the plant. So if you know of anyone that's looking for a job, by all means, send them our way, because we'll be hiring 2 for down at the plant. The other thing of note in the report that I'll just go ahead and mention is we did have our meeting with DEP and Mark Bryson and Richard Barnett, the plant operator down at the plant with the board this past week, I believe, to discuss the consent order. And we'll be having a follow-up meeting within the next 30 days. But it was a good meeting. We did get to discuss to those individual items within that consent and let them know the things that have changed since their last inspection down there, things that have improved. And they were very pleased with the plant itself and all the improvements that the operator and his team have made down there. There's a couple of things that we are going to have to start working on. CSO plan is one of the big things that we're going to have to start working on, and they were very interested also in the annexation and the project out towards Stone Cold. And so we're going to be working on those couple of items with them and reconvene with them in about 30 days to further see if we can get the monetary fine that went along with that consent down, as well as some of the other items in that. So we'll keep you apprised and also let you know when that next meeting is. And if you'd like to be a part of that, by all means, we'd invite you to be there. I think everything else is pretty self-explanatory in there. I'll work the financial just a little. Sewer collections for this past month were 239,700 feet. And water was 3,940.98. And your utility tax at 2,382.83. And I'll let them talk to you about the fire fees. We did more aggressively get the collections this month, and I just sent to the water company 52 accounts that they'll be terminating water service for non-payment, and that's about 1/3 of what will be sent to them this month. If you have any other questions, I'm glad to answer them. Otherwise, our meeting is this coming Monday unless we're going to change the time to go to the city meeting. Are we changing this on?
Laura,
As of right now, it's at
Yeah,
4:30 unless we let you know a different time for this coming Monday.
When is it? Monday?
Yeah.
I think.
when is city meeting day, Laura?
That's until May.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was.
All right.
Okay,
Then we're good. We're third.
Hey, does anyone have questions for Dee? Hey, thank you, Dee. Finance report.
The vacant structure report is on page 61. We did take in $1,737.50. The check detail report will be on page 50. We do have, the signature cards at United Bank are out of date. We would not be able to replace the signatures without it being on the minutes from this meeting. The signature cards, once we start the process, then they will only be good for 1 week. You have to go into the bank to sign to be the signature on the United Bank. So we need to consider that with the signatures on the file currently are way out of date.
So would the motion need to contain who we're removing and who we're adding, or?
He could not give me who we're removing. because I'm not a signature person.
We,
So-
we just went through this with landmark stuff. Yeah, it's with landmarks to update that. And we can make a motion to void previous signatures. And then, but the current signatures,
Okay.
approve the current.
Yes, a
signature.
blanket,
Yes.
removal.
Yes, that works.
So. Go ahead. I'm
You
sorry.
want us to start with the motion on the vacant structures, and that amount is $1,737.50.
Yes,
I'll entertain a motion to transfer that amount to vacant structures fund.
I'll make a motion, to transfer that fund, vacant funds.
One second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to consider the approval of the expense check detail report, unless you have questions for Joyce. Ready?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the expense check detail report. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And now the consideration of removal of signatures from cards at the United Bank. Sherry, would you like to word that one?
Well, since I'm on the signatures. I can,
You're just removing.
I'm just removing, yes, okay, but I don't feel that I should make the motion to include. Do I need to recuse myself from that?
I don't think so.
No, okay. No, I'm just ultra careful. Yes,
I appreciate it.
okay.
We won't hold it over your head.
Okay, we have two motions then to make. The first one
Okay,
I will make. I'll move to remove all previous signatures on the signature card for all accounts at the United National Bank.
okay, is there a second? It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Was on it. Mayor, vice mayor.
It's whatever's in the charter, right?
Our financial policies and procedures state that the mayor, vice mayor, city manager, and the city clerk before Sunday.
Yes, it's already established, so,
But you should still have a motion.
right.
To appoint those.
I'll move to appoint the new names on the signature card at the United National Bank as the mayor, vice mayor, the city clerk, and city manager
For our financial policies.
per our financial policies.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, street department report.
You'll have my report. The only thing I would like to add to that is we're finishing up the last lateral on North River from the 4th Street Bridge to West Second Street. We'll be pouring concrete tomorrow and then by Wednesday, that section of North River will be opened up. We will be closing down Sixth Street and North River for a stormwater crossing that we have to do there to get the water off Sixth Street. We'll be doing that probably on Thursday. I don't know that for sure, just depending on the weather. But I would like to say, I hope you all read this, but I'm very, very thankful with the guys that we've all worked together and got this project done. And I think we're gonna see that we rented that hoe, and I think we saved quite a chunk of money doing it ourselves instead of bidding it out. So, I'll need to go on and figure on that probably next month, but I think the large hoe that we had down there will be going back tomorrow. That's all I have.
Any questions for Mike on his report? Thank you. Thank you. Police Department report.
The only thing I want to add is our officer in the academy graduates on the 17th. And I would like to introduce Jason Kelly as our newest officer and let him introduce himself and then he can be excused.
I'm Jason Kelly, and I've been here for a couple weeks. Good to be here. Welcome.
Welcome.
It's nice to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And peer liaison report.
I would like to let you know that we got that in after the packets were printed, and her report is in the back end.
Oh, okay. Anything for Chief Posey? Thank you. We'll go to Fire Department report.
I don't have much else to add to what's on their EMS report. It's the best month we've had so far. We're finally getting the funds coming in. You'll struggle with VA, but we're getting there. So
Are we closer with that?
I haven't heard anything today, so
Okay,
we're trying.
so you don't know if they've tested a negative, okay.
So we've been working on that for a good while now. It's finally coming along.
Good. Questions for Chief Settle? Thank you. Thank you. Building code zoning.
You got most of my report. I got a couple of things. I did want to let you know that there was, a bunch of certified mail that went out for people that aren't mowing, for non-compliant stuff. So they have 10 days to comply, and if they're not, then we can send out contract mowers. So it's not being overlooked. The volunteer cemetery group wanted me to mention the 18th. It's a Saturday, and we're gonna have a work day up there. We've got some people coming from Sharp to pitch in like they did last time. So anybody at all wants to come and help, there's plenty of stuff to do up there at Arnold. And then the 19th, Cody Straley, who was instrumental with from SHPO in getting the National Registry designation up there. You're gonna be speaking to Hackers Creek Pioneer Descendant. And I would invite everybody to come out and listen to him and thank him for his effort. All right, I think that's about it.
Thank you, Mark.
Marty will come, on the 19th at on some.
1 o'clock.
Marty, do you need those day lilies? And maybe irises before then, will you be doing leaving flowers?
If you have something that's dear,
I
then
know, and the day lilies and the irises are, and they're from my personal garden.
we
I'm
can, we can,
revamping them regularly.
we can certainly plant those that same day.
Okay,
Make it all part of it. We've got stones to set. There's plenty of limbs and sticks to pick up. Cleaning that can be done, so then we could plant some flowers and stuff too. And I was gonna get a couple bags of mulch to put around the flowers and spruce that up. The mayor had also given me some information for the Pomeroy Foundation about a bronze plaque to put it there. I submitted an application for that, went back and forth with several questions they had, but they said it looks pretty good. We should know within a week or two whether we're gonna get that for free instead of 11 or 1,200 bucks.
That'd be more.
Weston Animal Control Program, anything to report there?
It's on hold at the moment.
Okay.
But it will be ramping up here soon.
Community Development Communications.
So, my report's in the packet. The one thing, we definitely have a lot of things happening in April. We've got, the community, cleanup day, which is gonna be on the 18th as well. So at, 9 a.m. meet at the city municipal building. And we'll be walking around town and doing some cleanup. And then we could end up at the cemetery afterwards, I think would be a really good way to kind of end that. And then we've got the citywide cleanup for city residents. That's happening the 20th through the 24th. We also scheduled the Tire Amnesty Day. It's been really well received over the last few years. We've collected a lot of tires for that. And I'm working with DEP to try to schedule a river cleanup day, especially in the downtown area, to try to move some of the tires and things out for that also. And that's pretty much it. Anyone have any questions?
You said the cleanup's on April 18th?
18th as well, yes.
Okay, and the cemetery is on the 19th.
No,
Cemetery workday is the 18th.
Oh, the cemetery is the 18th. Okay.
Cleanups on the 20th, 24th.
and that's for city residents is the 20th through the 24th.
Okay.
For the river cleanup, I know the focus is on downtown, but for people who like to kayak from downtown Weston to Jackson's Mill, there's like at least 2 huge obstacles. Have we figured out a way to get those out of there?
What are the obstacles?
The trees.
Trees. That's something we'll just have to work with Guardians of the West Fork and with the DEP. They don't like to wade into the water, but if they can retrieve any items or move any items, so I think that's gonna be one of those team efforts, and I'll get in touch with them and we'll try
I
to order
appreciate
something.
that. I'm pretty sure they can.
Mhm. Okay.
You may want to contact the DNR about those down trees, just because where they have put in fishing launches that impedes even people from fishing from Jackson's Mill to Weston and Weston to Jackson's Mill. So DNR may be able to help you with that.
Thank you. Any questions for Laura? Thank you. Okay, you have city clerk's report in the packet. Have anything else, Catherine?
No, I think that if you'll look through there, you will see that we have many new business.
Yes, we do. I noticed that.
We've been busy.
It's good to see.
Any brick and mortar besides the consignment shop?
Yeah.
Any other questions for Kathy?
Thank you, Matthew.
City managers report.
Try to keep this short because a lot of my updates are built into the next 24 items of business. But a couple things I want to give you an update on. One, Councilwoman Gump, you had asked if our ambulance department was going to be eligible for any of the EMS funding that was passed by the state. And I said I didn't quite know the answer to that yet. I think we have a clear vision on that now, and I think the answer probably is no for now. That money is being dispersed to qualified EMS agencies through county commissions. And I think Jimmy and I were talking about it. I think we wanna probably look at getting to a place where we qualify for that funding in the future. But I think right now, am I right, that we're not
I
expecting.
did a little research today, made a couple phone calls. I'm not, we still should be on something that I can't. I don't know for sure, I'm not sure. We still do a lot of peer support stuff, so that's in there too. Salary enhancement stuff, I don't know if we'll qualify for any of that.
And then what we might qualify for will come down to the county commission's decision. So we'll see.
All the other counties are splitting their group pay, so we'll see how that works out for us.
And then I want to let you know, in addition to this other stuff, I will be representing Weston on Wednesday at the State of the Corridor. The State of the Corridor is an event where the county commissions, the economic development authorities, and the municipalities along Corridor H get together to talk about the state of building out Corridor H. Weston has a little bit of a reputation at these events for being an oddball out because so the two other municipalities, for example, Elkins and Buchanan, have part of Corridor H in their municipal limits. So they're gaining something through Corridor H. The county commission's BDAs are obviously gaining something through Corridor H. And then Weston stands in the least strategically secure position. Because we basically get asked all the time if we will raise our sewer rates on our ratepayers to help this development. But at this time, we have no strategic known gain. And so I think we have a fear of Corridor H becoming a 4-lane of gas stations, fast food restaurants, and car dealerships. And urban centers that are positioned away from Corridor H, looking more and more like little Somalia. Because they're not really gaining anything from that. So I'd already warned the mayor, she might get some calls after the event, because I'm probably gonna share the same concerns Weston has shared there in the past. I don't think I have any other particular updates that aren't built into the agenda, unless you have any other questions for me.
I'd like to circle back to the EMS funding and make sure that, I know that we weren't set up to be a primary transport for 911 calls. However, I think Chief Suttle has a good relationship, and we have been asked regularly and provided service when the other EMS could not.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you and Chief Suttle are communicating that to the county commission. So when that funding is considered, that they will have all the facts in order to make that decision.
They're willing to.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, because I think part of the reason I wanted to bring it up today is as a primer for a day that may come when we have to rearrange the ambulance. To be better set up for those things that wasn't set up.
We are second due backup for Lewis County EMS. They don't have a crew. They do call us to take care of their 911. We've done quite a few. It's been a good cause for them, self out loss.
Thank you. Questions for Joe? Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to accept all of the department reports.
Motion to accept all the department reports as presented.
I'll second.
Been moved and second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to old business. Do you want to?
So item A, ordinance 2026-01. Just as a reminder, this is ordinance cleaning up our Port Code of Ordinances as related to 2-hour parking zones on Main Street downtown. There was an ordinance back in 2021 that created 2-hour parking zones, but it wasn't clear where all that was intended to encompass. So this ordinance makes it clear what we are encompassing, what areas downtown are encompassing that.
Do I have a motion to have the second reading of ordinance 2026-01 by title only.
I'll move to have the second reading of ordinance 2026-01 by title only.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Okay, it's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Motion carries.
Ordinance 2026-01, an ordinance amending the May 11th, 2021 ordinance creating a 2-hour parking zone on Main Street.
We entertain a motion to accept ordinance 2026-01 by title only.
I'll move to accept ordinance 2026-01 by title only.
Second. It's been moved in second. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Josh Droppleman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump.
Yes.
Councilman Adam Sims.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, consideration of ordinance 2026-02, establishing a city connectivity and public Wi-Fi program. This would be the second reading on this ordinance.
Yeah, and I'll just point out that during the first reading, there was an amendment, and you can see that amendment highlighted on page 9.
Thanks for doing that. I'll move to have the second reading of ordinance 2026-02 by title only.
I'll say.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Ordinance 2026-02, an ordinance establishing a city connectivity and public Wi-Fi program, authorizing a community anchor connectivity initiative, and establishing a trial public Wi-Fi pilot program set to expire September 30th, 2026, unless renewed.
I'll move to accept the second reading of ordinance 2026-02.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second to accept the second reading of ordinance 2026-02. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Josh Droppleman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump.
Yes.
Councilman Adam Sims.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next, consideration of ordinance 2026-03. An ordinance of the city of Weston establishing a Freedom of Information Act request policy. This would be the second reading.
I'll move to approve the second reading of ordinance 2026-03 by title only.
I'll say.
Okay. It's been moved in second to have the second reading of ordinance 2026-03. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Ordinance 2026-03, an ordinance of the city of Weston establishing a Freedom of Information Act, FOIA request policy.
Move to approve the second reading of ordinance 2026-03 by title only.
I'll second that.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Josh Droppleman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump.
Yes.
Councilman Adam Sims.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, new business, consideration of demolition bid award Depot Street property.
If you want to skip to page 107 in your packet, and then I'll hand it over to Marty. Make his recommendation.
You can see the 5 companies that bid there. The low bidder was Astor Oilfield Services, who have done quite a few demos for us. And that would be my recommendation to award it to them. I've already got all the utilities disconnected down there. After's actually gone ahead and filed for their 10-day permit. I kind of assumed they'll probably get the bid, but it's not my decision.
Quite a difference.
Yeah, from 33,750 all the way up to almost 122,000. It's a spread.
And I'll just add to that, because we previously told you that we had, just as kind of curbside estimate, we'd expected that this project was gonna cost $100,000 for tipping fees. And so we were talking about, oh, do we wanna buy an excavator instead? Do we wanna do this or that? Because that did come in so low, we've tabled those other discussions. We're just gonna get on with demolition and get it done. It's the recommendation now. It's the law.
Pretty much. Yes, we're ready if you are. I move to award the demolition bid for 25 Depot Street property to Astor in the amount of $33,750.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call as we go.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Josh Stropper.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Young.
Yes.
Councilman Adam Zinn.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, consideration of review and acceptance of Weston Housing Authority's audit.
Yeah, this is something that the mayor asked be included in the packet this month, and I think it's a good idea. Just as a reminder, the Weston Housing Authority is one of your boards. Their property is your property. So Chris Manor belongs to the city of Weston, and the city of Weston uses the Weston Housing Authority as its mechanism for managing that property. And so if anything were to happen to that board, or if the city were to decide to do something different with the property, those are all things that come down to city decisions. And then I just wanted to highlight a few things that I noticed in the audit for you. One thing to note is that there were no material findings. So no material findings means there's no fraud suspected. The bookkeeping and the accounting appears to have been done well enough to avoid any slaps on the hand related to compliance. But there's a few things that I think you should notice. So if you skip to page 113 in your packet, down under financial highlights, the assets of the authority exceeded its liabilities at the close of the most recent fiscal year at $835,000, as opposed to $859,000 the prior fiscal year, which includes a prior period adjustment. So what's happening here, and we'll see this again a little bit, I think on page 117, is the building that is Chris Manor is now being depreciated faster than reinvestments are being made. So the net position of the board is getting worse and worse. And it probably doesn't take an audit report to tell you that. You could probably go down there and see it. But what this is telling us is that we are losing ground there faster than we're retaining it in terms of the state of that asset. Also, it says the authority's unrestricted cash balance and investments as of December 31st, 2024 was 99,000, representing a decrease of 18,000 from the year prior. So their cash on hand continues to shrink, the cash cushion they have. See, if you go to page, I think 115 of the packet, just see that there's a net change in their overall position of a decline in $26,000. Move ahead to page 117. And this is where you particularly see under capital assets and debt administration, the building here is depreciating faster than investments are happening into the same. You do see here decreased expenses, which on the surface might sound good, but when you look at it, it's decreased expenses in things like ordinary maintenance and administration. Not necessarily things you want to see decreased expenses in over time. And then I think probably just the other major thing to pick up on page 120. Sort of in the middle of the page, you'll see that in the most recent year, they operated a net loss of almost $66,000. So that's why the cash position is decreasing, because they're operating in that loss. And then buried a little bit deeper in the report, it just explains that that's from decreased revenues from HUD. The report doesn't say this, but my estimate of the situation is that decreased revenues from HUD are happening as a result of not having full occupancy. Chris Manor is a place that, in order to be successful in its budget, really needs to have full occupancy all the time, or close to it. And increasingly over the last couple of years, they've not had full occupancy. I don't have a whole lot else to report. I guess I just wanted you to know the condition of things down there, which I think is not great. Unfortunately, is the news that I have to report on that. Do y'all have any particular questions about that?
Did they hire a new director?
So they still have an acting director.
Right.
They have still not made a decision on a permanent director. And I think, Kim, you might know more. I think that acting director is still working the hours of an administrative assistant, and that they have not hired a new administrative assistant. Is that right?
I've encouraged them to have a meeting of their board, and to take care of that situation. Either make her position permanent or hire from the pool of applicants that they had received. They have not emailed me back about a meeting date, but it is upcoming this month. Also, we've really struggled to get board members who have the care and concern for the housing authority, like it needs to be right now. So if you have any suggestions on anyone that would be willing to serve in that capacity, please send them our way. And also feel free to stop by Chris Manor and talk to Lauren. I was really pleasantly surprised with my visit. I spent about an hour there, and she's caught on quickly, and she seems to be a very black and white individual, the kind of person you need in finance. And she's wanting to do the right thing. She's getting a lot of assistance from April Dotson, who filled in as the interim from Buchanan. So she's on the right track.
I think so too, and I think just to sort of paint the larger picture and speak very plainly, if we have and continue to put the right people on the board there, I think that there's still opportunity to make things work there. But running a linear regression on these numbers suggests that the housing authority, if things don't change, would be bankrupt within the next 5 to 7 years. Before something like that, if that is the road that this continues down, then I think before something like that happens, council may need to entertain the question: is the Weston Housing Authority still the best tool to manage that problem? I think generally having nonprofit government-based tools like that in place that are locally operated by locals, I think that is almost always the best option. But sometimes it's not the best option. So I hope that we continue to have good folks volunteer for the board, and that we continue to see the Weston Housing Authority make improvements. But do know that it may be something on your radar in the next couple of years to look at doing something different than having the Weston Housing Authority manage that.
I'd like for all of us to exercise a bit of caution when thinking about and talking to each other about this situation.
Sure.
We are dealing with vulnerable older adults
Yes.
and individuals with disabilities, and there's no need for alarm at this point.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that things get put back on track so that they have a safe, secure place to live for years to come.
Yep. Well said.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the Weston Housing Authority audit.
I'll move to accept the Weston Housing Authority audit report for the year ended December 31st, 2024.
I'll second it.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, consideration of ordinance 2026-04.
I'll give a brief overview, but we do have representation from Steptoe and Johnson here to speak with us about this. Just as a reminder to catch everybody up to speed, when our new sewer plant was built 27 years ago, a long-term sludge plan was not in place as part of that new construction. This is something that the city stepped in and helped the sanitary board with over the last couple of years, particularly with ARPA funds to get rid of sludge that had built out there. Because when that sludge builds up in our system, it keeps the system from being well. So it had built up to a point keeping the treatment plant from doing what it needed to do. When the city council agreed to fund some of that sludge removal, the city council also asked the sanitary board then to get on top of having a long-term plan. They received a lot of funding and support along the way to get sludge drying beds in place. And we're now out to the point that we're bidding construction on that project. That project does involve some bonds. I have the schedule in front of me now, and I think if I'm reading it right, I want to tell you that about $1.5 million of those bonds are forgivable. So it functions like a grant. But then 635,000 are not forgivable. So these will actually be bonds that will have to be paid back over 38 years at 0.25% interest. So it's an interest rate everybody would love to get. But this is something that has to be taken out in the city's name because it's the city's system, but it's completely guaranteed against the sewer rates. So it's not something necessarily that the general fund is on the hook for. The sanitary board is on the hook for. But it is your sanitary board, it's your sewer system, so the bonds are in your name, so you have to pass the ordinance. So at this time, I'll invite counsel from Steptoe and Johnson to correct me in all the things I said that were wrong.
That was wonderful. You stole a lot of my thunder. But that's okay. That's good. That's all I have to say. So hopefully this is working. Yes. Get closer to it. Okay. So yes, the code says that the sanitary board essentially is responsible for operation, maintenance of the system. And then also petitions council to issue bonds. So we kind of start this process with a petition, or there will be a petition of the sanitary board if that has not already been accomplished. And then there will be a bond ordinance of city council, which is essentially the authorizing official action of council to authorize and direct the design, acquisition, and construction of the sewer project. The issuance of 2 series of bonds, one forgivable and one repayable, and establishing various funds and accounts to repay the bonds, pledging the net revenues of the sewer system to repayment. So that is the source of repayment, as the manager had mentioned. So I'll just go into the ordinance. So essentially there's the ordinance, and at the time that the reading of the ordinance starts, as it is in this case going to be a 3 reading process that won't end until, let's see, May. Do you guys meet monthly or?
Yeah, so we'll actually go through June to get this done.
Go through June, okay. The ordinance authorizes not to exceed 1 million of the borrowing portion. And we heard that that's approximately 600 some thousand right now at 0.25%. 0.25%. And then the forgivable portion, and not to exceed 1.5 million. So essentially how that works is, once the project gets started and there's requisitioning of those funds, essentially the sanitary board will handle usually monthly requisitions to pay the cost of the project. The engineer will assist, I think that's Bethesda in this case, with preparing, probably also Region 7's regional council involved in this. So regional council and Bethesda will prepare monthly the requisitions for the sanitary board. Sanitary board will approve, and then part of it, there'll be a schedule as to how the funds are drawn down, as to each portion of the funding on a monthly basis. And once the forgivable portion, the requisition is completed, at the end of that fiscal year, then the that amount is then deemed forgiven. So that's how that works. The SRF program from DEP doesn't have the legal authority to make a grant, so they do these forgivable loans. So that's how that will work. You'll see the ordinance, if you have it there, is a fairly large document. It describes the project. It's the dewatering of sludge so that you can dispose of that at the landfill in a compliant fashion. And that's the quote unquote project. The bonds will be placed with the West Virginia Water Development Authority. They administer all the state revolving loan programs. So they're actually the payee of bond. And you actually make the payments to the West Virginia Municipal Bond Commission. So that'll be consistent with all your other outstanding debt, which is listed here in D as well. You have, or rather G, you'll see all your outstanding debt on the sewer side that's listed there. You've got 2000 bonds, 2005, 7, 11, 13, and 18. Various series, they're all basically what's called parity bonds. So they have a equal shared first lien on your net sewer revenues of your sewer system. And then the repayable bonds, the A series, will be on an equal first lien basis with all those outstanding bonds. Essentially work, and all this will work essentially like all those other outstanding bonds. So there won't be any surprises there as far as how things get repaid. Then we'll skip over to 201, and that's where we actually authorize the acquisition and construction of the project at an amount not to exceed $3,600,000. And directing the proceeds of the 2006 bonds, that's the 2 series, to be used to pay the cost of the project. It references up to 1 million to be obtained from proceeds of the A bonds, 1.5 to be obtained from proceeds of the B bonds. 1 million as a grant from the Infrastructure and Jobs Development Council, and 100,000 as a contribution from the city. So then we'll get into there's a form of the bond that you'll see that is approved by the ordinance. The A bond, the actual bond will look very similar to this, but with the blanks filled in, and that will be filled in in connection with closing. And then the B bond, the forgivable, that's the form of that's being approved by council. You'll see that there's a record of advances. So what happens there is every time funds are requisitioned to pay a portion of the cost of the project, that record of advances is updated to show that portion of the bond being funded. The good news is you only pay interest on the portion that's advanced. So it's not all funded at closing. You draw it down as costs are incurred, and then interest is accrued and paid only on the portion that's funded. So then we get into Article 5 on page 30. It's easy, it's just to think of the card. If you have the ability to do that, I don't know how your packets are found, but, this talks about what happens with your revenues of the system. And so, basically, you're having, your revenue fund, which is already established. That's the, revenue fund for the sewer system, a renewal and replacement fund for the sewer system, a working capital reserve, and then a construction fund. So those are maintained with what's called your depository bank, which is essentially your local banking relationship with the sewer system. As you collect sewer revenues, you deposit those in those revenue fund, in that revenue fund. And then what happens is, you're establishing all these, accounts with the municipal bond commission, as I mentioned. All these prior accounts are already set up for your outstanding bonds. So for this, issue, you'll just have the 26A sinking fund and the 26A reserve. And sometimes you'll fund that reserve at closing. The funding agencies are not typically providing funds for that at this point. So you'll fund that over time with the bond commission as you make your monthly debt service payments. 503 talks about what happens with your system revenues. And then you're first going to pay your operating expenses. And then on number 2 there, you're going to pay the interest on all your outstanding bonds. And then together with interest on these bonds to the bond commission. And then on 3, you're going to do the same with the principal. So essentially, you pay in advance 1/3 of the debt service. So these bonds are repayable quarterly. You pay that in advance and 1/3 increments to the bond commission. Then the bond commission makes the payments to the West Virginia Water Development Authority. And how they do that now is they just have an automated debit that you'll authorize when we get toward closing. You pull those funds from your revenue fund and transfer them on a monthly basis to fund those payments. And then, as I mentioned, the reserve fund, that'll be funded over 10 years. Basically, the reserve requirement is the annual debt service on the bond, the one that's repayable, the A bond. And then that's funded in monthly increments, 1/1/20th over 10 years. The renewal and replace, stop me at any time you guys don't want to hear all this detail, but I figure may as well give you the detail. 2.5% of your revenues go into the renewal and replacement fund. And then that's just for non-recurring items that might occur on your system. You know, you don't have a major break or problem, but it's some routine maintenance that comes up. You can use that renewal and replacement fund for that. And then lastly, you fund a working capital reserve, which is basically equal to 1/8 of your annual operating expenses that are associated with your system. As far as then, just I'll mention briefly on starting on page 36. These are your covenants that you agree to as a part of accepting the loan proceeds and the grant. 703 is where you pledge your net sewer revenues to repayment. 704 is you agree to have maintained sewer rates and charges so that they're sufficient to repay all those outstanding bonds, your operating expenses, and then plus maintain a 115 coverage above and beyond all that. And you agree that then anytime your rates are falling below those levels, which you'll probably see in your annual audit reports, then you'll agree to increase your rates to make those coverages. So, sale of the system, if you want to sell any part of your system, there are certain thresholds in which you can do that with getting engineering reports, 10,000, and above that, You above 50,000, you can't sell without getting consent of the bondholders. If you do have to borrow funds in the future, this will be the same test that you've had to comply with for these bonds and your other prior bonds. That you agree to get a CPA certificate that shows 115 debt service coverage. And that will allow you to borrow or have additional bonds to pay for future improvements. You agree to get an annual audit of your books and records with respect to the sewer system. You again on 709, you agree to maintain those rates to have that coverage, the 115 coverage. You agree to have qualified operating personnel for the sewer system. That you'll enforce collections, you'll maintain insurance coverages that are appropriate. You'll mandate connections for customers that are able to connect to the system. And then there's a statutory mortgage lien on all the sewer system assets as security for repayment of bonds. So that's essentially what the ordinance does. So then after your bids are open and you know the actual cost of the project, if it's in excess of what's being budgeted, then you'll have to go back and seek some additional funding sources. That's why the not to exceed amount in the ordinance is a little bit higher than what you really need. So that if you do have to go back to SRF and borrow more funds, you have some threshold there to get additional monies without having to start this process over again, which I think you'll want to do. So, then once bids are open, you'll finalize your funding sources, then you'll know your borrowing terms. And then we'll get debt service schedules from the funding agencies. You'll get your loan and grant agreements that the funding agencies will provide. And then once we have those things, we can prepare a supplemental resolution. We'll come back to council, have you approve that, which will also approve the final loan terms, those loan and grant agreements. And then either we'll be able to sign documents at that time, or we'll come back another time and sign documents. And then you won't actually need to be present at the closing. That's something that happens in Charleston. But for the loan documents, we'll need the mayor, what do you have, a recorder or city clerk?
City clerk.
City clerk and city manager to sign documents. And then hopefully you got a seal somewhere. We'll need that seal. Sign everything, get it sealed, and we'll have everything for the closing. We'll close, and then you'll have access to those monies when you need them to pay project costs. So that's the comprehensive explanation. Is there anything that you have any questions that you have or anything that you would like for me to go over at this time? Do you guys like the total explanation, or do you like the Cliff's Notes version? Just that, because everyone's different. You guys have a preference?
I like the total.
You like the total?
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, I like the long drawn out boring
All right.
situation, but
just to
I
know
like,
what
I like
what
it, I
all
like to
is.
have it all out
Okay,
there.
all right. So that's what I'll continue.
And you
to
did
do
an
for you
excellent
guys.
job.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So we'll be back in all likelihood for that June meeting for the public hearing and the final enactment of this ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to add, because you reminded me of something when you were speaking, Dee, correct me if I'm wrong, because he had mentioned a $100,000 contribution from the city. You've already made that contribution. Just as a reminder, this project is kind of 3 years down the road now. You made that contribution out of ARPA funds a couple of years ago and paid for the engineering upfront for the beds. Kind of high level again, we have an activated sludge treatment system. So when sewer makes it to the plant, you can say sewer is made up of two things. It's made up of water and biosolids. And we're trying to separate those things and get the water purified and get the biosolids separated. When those are together in the basins, there are these hoses inside that swish back and forth, that aerate the system, that keeps the biology moving, to get things, eaten up and broken down. And the more and more biosolids that build up into those systems, then the less those hoses are able to whip back and forth and aerate the system the way they need to. So that's why we have to get those biosolids out of the system periodically. So this allows us to take them out. It's basically just a big old bed. We set them on to dry. And once they become dry, they can either be shipped to a landfill, just like dirt, or they can be applied to farms or other places. Which is what the sanitary board has been working on recently, is trying to get land applications done. They've attempted land application in the past, but the farms that they had willing to receive at that point, the ground at those farms did not pass the necessary testing. They were too high in some metals. But they have new farms that have volunteered to receive the sludge. If those farms pass, then we can even cut the landfill out of the equation and save some more money. And then just to remind you that about 85% of the total project cost is being covered through grants or forgivable loans. But then there is this 15% of the project cost basically in here that's repayable loans.
And one more thing to add, that sludge can make for great Christmas gifts too. Think about that in holiday season.
Let me get crap.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to have the reading of ordinance 2026-04.
That's a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Discussion. So when we're looking at that 638,000 that we have to repay, are we looking at a rate increase on our citizens?
Yes, so two things you need to know. One, we just engaged another rate study with the sanitary board. We're anticipating discount. But related to this project, I think, if Dee, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had figured that a $600,000 loan equates to probably about 0.5% of a rate increase. But I think that you are right now probably looking down the barrel of a 5% rate increase, just related to rising costs of labor, contracted operators, of the plant, getting the plant back in good shape. The cost of everything has increased.
It has nothing to do with this project.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with this project, but because of this project, I mean, I would say that there's 0.5% of that rate increase that's related to this.
More questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to have the first reading of ordinance 2026-04 by title only.
I will move to have the first reading of ordinance 2026-04 by title only.
Okay, is there a second? Is there a second to having the first reading of this ordinance?
You can.
Yeah, I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Ordinance 2026-04, the ordinance authorizing the acquisition and construction of certain extensions, additions, betterments, and improvements to the existing public sewerage system of the city of Weston and the financing of the costs thereof, not otherwise provided through the issuance of the city of Weston of not more than $1 million in original aggregate principal amount of the sewer revenue bonds, series 2026A, West Virginia SRF program, and not more than $1,500,000 in original aggregate principal amount of sewer revenue bonds, Series 2026B, West Virginia SRF program forgivable, providing for the rights and remedies of and security for the registered owners of such bonds, authorizing execution and delivery of all documents relating to the issuance of such bonds, approving a bond purchase agreement relating to such bonds, authorizing the sale and providing for the terms and provision of such bonds, and adopting other provisions relating thereto. And number 2, all other matters relating to the foregoing.
For the newer council members, I'd just like to add a few comments about the sludge that was removed and the fact that we did that with $750,000 plus with assistance from the county commission and ARPA funding. And that was a once in a lifetime gift because we were facing serious EPA fines for allowing that sludge to remain at our plant for all those many years. So it wasn't a choice to come up with a permanent solution. It was a mandated requirement. And we researched probably for a good year on different methods to use in disposing and treating the sludge. And the dry beds are what we came up with. We felt that was the best solution because of the maintenance. We felt like we could keep up with that. In coming years. As opposed to some of the other methods that would require us to hire additional personnel. But the fact is, we couldn't do nothing. We had to do something. So that's why council is being faced with these choices.
So in essence, we are required to pay back less than what it costs to remove that sludge. Was that 30 years ago?
Yeah, that's correct. So, I mean, it took over $750,000 to remove that sludge. And we would be facing that bill again, what, probably 10 years?
I think
Or
sooner.
Sooner than that, you think? Okay,
Sooner.
okay. Yeah, because it's
full again.
It's
Very close to full.
okay. We would be facing that bill again very soon if we don't have something else in place. And yeah, to Sherry's point, the amount that we have to borrow to get this done is less than the amount that we paid a few years ago to have the work contracted done. And also the price of everything.
You said 0.5% increase for this project. Is
I-
that the vote that I heard?
Yeah,
In that much.
yeah, and I'm pulling that off the top of my head because I'll be honest, I haven't looked at those numbers in probably 6 weeks. But it would be 0.5% for this project. But if you just kept contracting sludge removal, it would be higher than that. But there's something else, and we'll talk a little bit more about this maybe in executive section as it pertains to legal. I think we've had some discussions in the past about what sewer system needs. And there's gonna need to be probably more rate increases coming than just that. But as it pertains to this project, yeah, thankfully, $650,000 spread over, 30 years? Is really not that much in the sewer systems budget. So it equates to very little.
But even when you're looking at a 0.5 rate increase, if you started putting the plans in motion for a rate increase, that would not take effect for what it's longer than 18 months for the entire process.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 2 to 3 years. Correct?
At least two, yeah, at least two.
Before that 5%.
Pardon?
2 years before that 0.5%.
Mhm.
I would just need to stress too. This 0.5, increase is gonna be a lot less than it would be if we did the slope people can. We just need to make sure that's stressed to the public, and that we're saving them money, because if we don't do this, you're going to pay more than like
Exactly.
what it already is.
Yeah,
So we
you're
need to
gonna be
make
paying
sure
that
we
again.
have that out there. So, because they're gonna look at this project and be like, all these rates because of this. We need to make sure they know.
And this is a permanent fix.
Right.
This is.
That's what they need to know, that
Yeah.
this is a permanent fix. It's gonna be more if we don't do this, right, on your side. To help lessen the load, they need to know that.
Yeah.
We're looking out for their best interest, and we're just not throwing it out there being like, this is a quick fix, but it's not, it's a long term fix.
Right. Honestly, we were saved by ARPA. I mean, that, yeah, that we, every of these funds were saved by ARPA money. And that's, and the council, I think, rightly so at that time, said sanitary board and sand plan for this long term.
Well, because we don't have the money to continue to do that.
Yeah. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the ordinance 2026-04 by title only.
I'll make a motion. Fix that ordinance 2026-04.
A second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Josh Strawball.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump.
Yes.
Councilman Addison.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, consideration of ordinance 2026-05, an ordinance to update the sewer use ordinance.
I'm just gonna ask you to table this one. You don't have it in front of you yet. The PSC asked us to update the sewer use ordinance, and they sent some stuff to Dee and Sam and I, and we all looked at it, and we weren't sure what they were actually asking us to update, so Sam has been going back and forth and in touch with them. But if something does need updated, we should have that ready for the next time. But for now, I just ask you to table this.
I move to table.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Consideration of ordinance 2026-06, an ordinance to update the B and O ordinance clarifying definitions and economic nexus.
So this one goes. To start the discussion of this one, we should talk about a Supreme Court case called South Dakota v. Wayfair, which was a Supreme Court case in 2017. Prior to then, the standing rule from an earlier Supreme Court case from the 90s had upheld that remote sellers, this is from the 90s, remote sellers didn't have to participate in the local taxes and fees and other things of places they were remote selling in. 2017, the Supreme Court changes that decision, basically says remote selling is now such a larger part of the economy that it can't be left out from local considerations. Their reasoning for that was basically to say it gives an unfair economic advantage to remote sellers if they don't have to participate in the same rules that the locals have to participate in. So the way that this has been affecting you for the last several years is, sales tax has been going up and up and up. And it's because of remote sellers. We've been getting that 1% from every Amazon and Wayfair and eBay and everything else. Because they've been obligated to pay that. One of the things then that the Supreme Court case does is they do say, while there may not need to be a threshold for local brick and mortar businesses to participate in things like taxes and fees, there does need to be a threshold, and they call this the economic nexus, a threshold at which a remote seller is considered to be participating in the economic nexus of some political entity. So there needs to be a threshold at which we say, here is the point where we recognize that you're participating in the economic nexus of Weston. At what sales number or at what economic activity number do we say remote sellers are participating? In the same spirit of what the Supreme Court said about having an unfair advantage or disadvantage to local businesses, I think the lower that threshold is set, the fairer you're being to your local businesses. To give a few named examples, and by the way, in Kathy's most recent report, she bolded the company names that were related to getting business licenses related to economic nexus, related to them being remote sellers operating inside city limits. But for example, we recently had Ashley Furniture say, we're not getting a business license because we think we don't have to. Well, that, and also B&O taxes, they're not paying B&O taxes. Well, that creates an unfair disadvantage for them over someone like Bennett's, who's trying to sell the same thing, except they do have to pay taxes. They do have to get a business license to do it. So I think the lower we set that threshold, the better off we are. We've started kind of targeting some of these businesses and asking them to get business licenses and to pay B&O taxes. And because the standing B&O ordinance allows the city manager to propagate rules when necessary related to the ordinance, I pretty much said the economic threshold is $1,000 a quarter. So when you're doing sales in Weston greater than $1,000 a quarter, you're participating in an economic nexus and you need to get a business license, you need to pay B&O taxes. So we've been targeting folks based on that. That is a very low threshold. Compared to what other places have put in place. So we've had pushback from that, such as Ashley Furniture is one of those. We've also had folks who just agree to comply. Those are those bolded names you see on that business license report. But we have because there's more and more pushback happening, Sam and I thinks it both makes sense to take the rule that the city manager has propagated and codify it, because that will hold up stronger in court if someone decides to challenge this in court. So the thing that I want to be really clear on is I am asking you to pass this because we are anticipating that someone will challenge it. And not just in a, I don't want to pay that, but actually probably try to challenge it and say your threshold is too low. So that's the first thing it does is it creates the definition of the economic nexus, which is $1,000 for remote sellers. It doesn't change anything in regards to brick and mortar stores or folks actually operating inside the city limits. But then the next thing it does, and this is just related to other B&O stuff that we're doing, is it makes it clear that when we have other means of knowing what your gross sales may have been and you're not reporting your B&O taxes, we will calculate what your taxes should be based on the information we have and may send you a bill related to that. Basically what that boils down to is these same folks, they're submitting sales tax. We know that sales tax is 1%. We can do math. We can calculate what your gross revenues were in the city of Weston based on what you paid in sales tax. And we may bill you accordingly unless you tell us otherwise. Which that is really that is only a non-compliance issue. So that is the B&O tax program continues to be sort of an honor-based, trust-based system where we ask people to remit their total gross receipts and pay accordingly. But if they don't do that, then we may bill them based on the other data that we have.
Should the effective date encapsulate what the city manager has already deemed as collectible? Should it have a date that's prior to Because otherwise, if you have people who are complying.
Yeah.
And it says the effective date is upon passage, then that makes.
That's probably a Sam question that I'm not, that I can't really answer.
I think you would have to word retroactive in there somewhere, and that's not there.
Okay, because what I will tell you is that we feel that we're not doing anything wrong right now. We're just asking you to codify it to have an even stronger basis for it. Do you want to table it to add retroactive language or?
Well, I think we can go ahead and have the first reading, and if council accepts, we can accept with the addition of effective date, making it retroactive
Sure.
to when the city manager.
Why don't you say, did we start with September 1st, 2025?
Well, but I can't remember what's on the letter. Maybe.
Well, but we're doing it based off that last quarter of the year, right? Reports that we see from the last quarter of last year.
Pardon?
Said if we don't know, we could always table this to our next special session,
You can,
if we want to get it right.
yeah. you
Well, it
can.
wasn't in January for sure. So if you put February 1st, I'm sure that covers it.
Yeah, but we're using data that goes back as far as September 2025. I think we have to go back to September 1, 2025.
Oh, I thought you meant the letter we wrote.
No, I'm talking about the data we use to enforce it, yeah.
If that's what you choose to do.
It's
if
just
you'd
like,
like
I was just, I wondered, I mean, if that, it doesn't matter, we be June brand.
Well, we probably should table it because they'll need to come up with a definite date.
And John and Sam.
I moved to table.
Yeah, I'll second it, because it needs retroactive in there.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table until the next meeting, council meeting.
I'm sorry, was that Councilman Kaufman? Did you make the motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Councilman, second, thank you.
Mhm. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, consideration of neighborhood watch picnic Saturday, June 6th, request $400.
Now we can start reading through these. I recommend you approve.
Yeah. I move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, purchase of fireworks for 4th of July, 10,000 or higher.
Yeah, you got 10,000 in the budget. We just want to know which one to do.
I'd like to go higher.
Yep.
It's 250. Sorry.
It's up to you guys. We can-
What
we
can
get
we
all
get?
kinds of stuff.
What can we up to?
I think you could probably safely go probably 13. What do you think, Jimmy? I mean,
We got 12 in the budget, was line item, but.
Yeah.
With some QR code stuff.
yeah, we can move things around. I mean, what do you, I'm with, it's 250. It's only gonna happen once in our lifetime. So,
Joyce, you think we can do 13?
We will figure that out.
yes.
Well, if we could go 13, why not 14?
Why not?
Let's see what Buchanan spending.
Okay, someone ready to enter a motion?
I'll move to make a motion to approve the 4th of July fireworks at 13,000 for this year.
That's good.
Okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, consideration for the 4th of July celebration to include waiving of open container rule.
I so moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of event request for Stonewall Jackson Memorial Hospital 4th of July 5K run at 9 a.m.
I'll second.
Oh, sorry, I did want to make a comment about this real quick. I included this in my email to you. I just want you to be aware. Approving this, does mean that we're probably gonna have people from the street department who have to work on July 4th. which is gonna result in some overtime. 250th is only gonna happen once in our lifetimes, a big holiday, so I think it's well worth doing. I just wanted you to do it with eyes wide open.
Are you working with them on the route or is that already a pre-established?
I think it's pre-established.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a map.
There's a map in
Oh,
here.
okay. Thank you.
I think it's their normal route.
It is, yes, and all.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of event request for Arbor Day recognition and approval.
So move.
A second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of recommendation by audit committee for auditor procurement.
Yeah, so the audit committee met after the packets were already put together, but I believe Joyce provided you with a supplemental that shows the scoring. And then the proposal for the firm that the audit committee is recommending, which is BHM. They've been doing both our audits and the sanitary board's audits for a couple of years now. We recommend approval.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Pardon?
We thought you had to say the total, so I was.
Oh,
and I
you
would-
do. Actually, you
I would
do.
have him across here.
For a total of,
$39,150 for BHM CPA Group.
thank you, Debbie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of removal of board, commission, and committee members.
I'm gonna ask that you just table this until after the executive session. We're still gonna have action to take on this tonight, but I think you received a letter that's pertinent to this, and there's a little bit of other legal discussion I have around it. I think it should happen after executive session.
I'll move to table until after executive session.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of naming of Ward 3 Park.
I just think Shady Brook Park sounds the best.
think
You
it's
got
great.
Oak Creek Park, you got Willow Street Park,
Right.
Lively Park, Shady Brook. It's always been Shady Brook.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful.
Given any consideration into.
Some park,
Well, that's what I was gonna suggest it, but. No, I didn't know with, I went to Shady Brook School for elementary school. And, yeah, it's kind of who I was thinking if you all were considering to possibly.
She
Yeah, Mary Ann High Tree.
was possible in Shady Brook college years.
Just a suggestion to consideration.
we're just discussing it.
Okay.
Well, you
Yeah.
could, you
Nobody,
could dedicate the park to her
Yeah, you
and put a
could.
plaque there and call it Shady Brook Park. And then invite her,
Yeah, invite her.
like we do the bridge dedication at Fourth Street.
Okay.
That.
Yeah, I think that plan was still pretty local.
Oh,
Yeah, they are.
yeah, they are. They're
They
good.
are.
So
That would
we
be a
can
nice-
formalize that at a future meeting then,
yeah,
since it's just discussion.
right. It sounds like you want to name it Shady Brook Park, but to,
Yes.
dedicate
Dedicated,
it in
To
the
the
honor.
principal.
yes,
Shady Brook Elementary.
Sounds wonderful.
good idea.
Okay. We knew we put you on council for some reason. Consideration of West Fork Conservation District Agreement.
That's an agreement that we enter every year. I recommend approval.
I move to approve the West Fork Conservation District Agreement of $4,400.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, consideration of 250 stroll from RWB crew, June 28th at 4 p.m.
Yeah, I think this is, I think RWB is the red, white, and blue crew. I think this is a lot of the same faces from Miracle on Main. Just another thing for USA 250. Yeah, all for it.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second.
I'm not voting, by the way. Including
You're
myself.
recusing yourself, yeah, because you're
Myself,
in
'cause
that
I
group?
made the application.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with Councilwoman Gump abstaining. Consideration of prayer walk for Men of Action, June 13th, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Move to approve.
I second it.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of Weston Sanitary Board new member Corey Burkett.
I move to approve.
I have a question.
Um,
Can he be on two board?
Oh.
Cause he's on Park and Rec, right?
Is he?
He is on person. I don't think there's anything that
Say.
No, like planning commission, if you were on that, you
Okay,
can't.
okay, I just wanted to double check that.
I move to approve Corey Burkett.
I'll second.
Appoint Corey Burkett. It's
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of funding the cost of 4th of July bands for $1,200.
This is for, the bands for the Fourth of July celebration, in the amount of $1,200. And, I was making the request, so I have to recuse myself. For the newer members, council does have, a pool of money each year that we can donate to, a local cause. And Jill, are we good, good for $1,200?
Yep.
I move to approve.
A second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. With me, recusing. Consideration of Arts Council member Tom Haller.
I move to approve.
I second it.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the executive session to discuss legal and personnel matters.
I move to go into executive session to discuss, personnel and legal matters.
Second it.
I'll suggest that you invite your city manager, city clerk, and finance.
Opposed? Motion carries. It's an executive session.
That's a move.
A second.
Been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration of handbook update.
I recommend that you, authorize the handbook update found on page 228 of your packet.
A motion to authorize the handbook update.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah.
And,
Item L, to get back to.
oh, yes, thank you. On consideration of removal of board, commission, and committee members, I'll entertain a motion to remove Michael Bradley from the Board of Parks and Rec.
And I think you should include in that motion to accept the resignation of Robert.
Within the same motion? Okay, and also to accept the resignation of Robert Weaver from the Tree Commission.
I'll make a motion to remove Michael Bradley from the Board of Parks and Recreation, as well as accept the resignation of Robert Weaver from the Tree Commission.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And due to the nature of time, I think the council is just about ready to adjourn for the evening and let the employees go home. So, but I thought I'd take up the next 30 minutes and talk about what I want. I just want to make a quick comment about one of the things that council ran on in 2019 was transparency. And, you know, the reports they were good in the beginning, but they were sparse. And I think that it's really a compliment and testament of what good quality employees, how professional you are, how transparent you want to be, and how thorough the reporting is these days. It's a lot, but you guys are really busy and, you know, knowing what's going on, not only council knows, but the entire citizenry of Weston. So I just want to say on behalf of all of us, we thank you for that and really keep up that excellent work. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn unless council has something else.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.